Live from Garry O'Neal Studios in Baltimore.
You're listening to the See.Plan.Do show. Garry O'Neal.
All right, here you go. DJ.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Happy Pod Day! Yeah! What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the See.Plan.Do show. My name is Garry O'Neal Jr., and this episode 145, we'll be talking about anxiety today. In addition to anxiety, I'll be going over how to deal with anxiety. I'll be going over some of my favorite affirmations, and then we'll also talk about the DEI. All right, and what does that mean? What are my thoughts about it? And how, what is some insight we can go from there, okay? All right, so what is our quote for today? Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. I thought that was a really, really good, awesome quote to use, especially on this show. Can I get to my shout outs? I want to shout out my day one A1 listeners, entrepreneurs, people that are listening to this for the first time, people that are watching this, returning listeners, returning watchers, people that share this, right? I do want to highlight that there are a lot of people that I know that watch the show, but I appreciate new people that watch the show and people that share it. Share it to a different fan base, a different group, share it within your circles and stuff like that. So I really appreciate anybody, entrepreneurs, people that are looking for motivation, inspiration, education, wherever you are, whenever you are, whenever you check this out. Thank you. As always, you literally could have been doing anything else. You could have been watching anything else, but you're taking time out of your day, and I appreciate that. And so today, as we go over episode 145, I definitely wanted to jump into, especially during this time, there's a lot of things that can increase our anxiety, and I think this is just a perfect time to talk about it. All right, so we got our shout outs out of the way, and so let's get right to our See.Plan.Do moment of the week, and that's going to be always sponsored by, if I do say so myself, if Google reviews, if people that take the class or tag me online, the best CPR class. And I'm going to be honest, this is the best podcast out here. All right. I mean, there's a lot of great podcasts, but I think pound for pound, this is one of the great podcasts. So right after a brief word from one of our favorite sponsors, we'll get right to it.
Are you looking to get certified in CPR, first aid, or other life-saving skills? Heart Savers Maryland is your premier CPR training facility. Individual and classroom sessions available. Schedule your training at heartsaversmd.com. Each second counts. Get trained today.
All right, so your See.Plan.Do moment of the week is just affirmations. And so I wanted to highlight a couple of affirmations that I use that I think was really good in when I was researching affirmations. And here's the reason why. One of my favorite books, The 4 Agreements, talks about how we put things out there. We're putting a spell on our life. And to be 100% totally transparent, everything that I have repeatedly said that I wanted, I've gotten. Unfortunately, everything that I've said that I did not want has happened also. And so clearly, it is extremely important how we put things out into the atmosphere. And I think that these 7 affirmations, if you repeat them throughout the day, your morning, you include in your morning ritual, I think that you'll find that you're going to be getting opportunities and getting things that you want. I promise you, again, things that I have repeatedly put out there as far as I wanted, I've gotten. I remember when I wanted to be a life coach. I remember when I wanted to be a DJ. I remember when I wanted to start my CPR company. Those things happen, but there are also other things happen that I would be joking around and say, oh, if this happened, and now these things have happened. And so I am very intentional moving forward. I've been intentional for a while, but I've been extremely intentional about the things that I say about myself, about situations. And so here are 7 that, you can write them down. You could use your own. If you have your own affirmations that you want to share, let me know. Post it in the comments. All right. Number 1, I am confident in my abilities. I am confident in my abilities. Number 2, I love and accept myself. I love and accept myself. Number 3, my thoughts create my reality. My thoughts create my reality. Number 4, I embrace change as opportunities to grow. Again, I embrace challenges. I embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. Next is I can overcome any obstacle. I can overcome any obstacle. I am getting better every day. And last, I am optimistic about the future. So those are just 7 that I use, that I like to practice, that I like to incorporate in my thoughts. Again, let me know what yours are. How do you feel about those 7? Did any of them speak out to you? Those are the ones I like. So that is our See.Plan.Do moment of the week, affirmations. I think that you'll find that if you say them for the next 30 days, I think that you'll see an increase in opportunities, in your awareness, in how you feel and how you think about yourself. All right. So moving on, can we get to our appetizer? I have a couple of things about the appetizer. I realize now in jotting in my notes. And so right after, a brief word from yet another amazing sponsor. And guess what? And if you want to be a sponsor, you see I have sponsors, right? If you want to be a sponsor, let me know. All right. We have wonderful packages and we can talk about that offline. But if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to put out your products to a dedicated fan base that can promote and support you, absolutely, please do. All right. So right after a brief word from our sponsor, we'll get right to our appetizer of the day, as well as our entree. Episode 145. I'm still getting out of just saying season. I've just been putting the episodes down. Episode 145, anxiety.
Having a wedding, birthday party, or other social or corporate event, contact Greenlight Entertainment today. With our experienced DJs, quality sound, and professional service, we look to make your event the event. Check us out on the web at www.greenlightentertain.com. With Greenlight Entertainment, you have the green light.
All right, so I really wanted to highlight one, pandering. I despise pandering. And if you don't know what pandering is someone or something trying to appease you, and they're willing to say whatever it is. So there are a lot of personalities online that try to pander. There are politicians that pander, and different podcasts, different systems, different people. I don't think I've ever in all of the episodes, I've talked about men, I've talked about women, I've talked about systems, I've talked about a lot of things. I don't pander, and I have no plan on pandering. I don't pander. I don't offer any empty compliments. I like to speak straight up truth. And I don't ever want somebody to say, you're trying to cater to this. What I would offer you is, because there are a lot of situations that we see now where people are trying to pander and now the chickens are coming home to roost, just don't allow someone to pander to you, right? Because again, they're trying to appease to you. And to be honest, they're appeasing to a illogical sense of what you want to be. They're appeasing to an illogical sense of something you want to be catered to. So a panderer will let you get off without accepting accountability. We've seen these people, these relationship people, these podcasts, whatever. They're trying to get it off by just saying to you, oh yeah, if the guy is not paying 100% of your bills as soon as you meet him, you need to dump them. Oh, if the woman is not giving it up the first night, you need to dump her. They're trying to appease to an illogical sense of reality. And unfortunately, it works a lot because people don't want to accept accountability. We have politicians that pander. There was a politician that went on the Breakfast Club and they said, "Hey, what do you have in your bag?" And she said, "Hot sauce." I know you fucking lying. All right. That doesn't even make sense, guys. That doesn't even make sense. And so, what I would like is as we go into the start of this new year, is there's nothing wrong with listening to information or you want things to be a certain way. But can we focus on not being pandered to and not putting money in these people that pander to us? Because guess what? After they're trying to appease to you, as soon as you click on it, they want to buy you something because that's their goal is to use your insecurities, use your illogical thinking, and they want to cash in on that. They want to sell their cards. They want to sell their merchandise. They want to sell coaching or they want to sell opportunities. Like they're trying to do that. Like, and I know we all know that they're trying to do it. But we also know that if you are listening and you're supporting a panderer, then what you really are doing is saying, "Hey, I don't want to have a in the road type of mentality. And because of that, I'm okay with what they're saying." It creates too much divisiveness, creates too many illogical situations. How many times do we have to see on social media where people are popping the balloons on dumb stuff? You know why? Because we feel as though the smallest thing. We don't want to work for relationships. We don't want to work for things. And so I just offer that, hey, moving forward, man, don't let them pander to you, man. Don't let them pander. All right. That was just a little small thing that I remember in my notes that I wanted to talk about. Initially, I was not even going to speak on it, but I just hate pandering. I just hate it. I hate it because it really tries to say, hey, I'm not smart enough to know you're just trying to kiss my ass or you're just trying to sell me something. So you're trying to butter me up. I just don't like it. All right. So all right, but that's out the way. That's neither here nor there. Clearly, in this show, you don't hear anything like that. All right, but let's get into this DEI. Okay. So recently, Trump signed an executive order that has rolled back DEI programs. All right. And DEI stands for diversity, equity, equity or equality. Is it equity or equality? Equity inclusion efforts. And so, in this situation, DEI is a term that describes policies and programs that promote diversity. It is equity. All right. But why would it be equality? That's sort of weird. And inclusion. And so, once this executive order happened, you see a lot of big companies started rolling back and not funding those programs anymore. All right. So, President Trump eliminated that. Okay. And he referred to them as illegal and immoral. That's a little wild, don't you think? All right, so DEI trainings will be rolled back, they will be eliminated, and DEI resources for schools and colleges, those things are not even on the websites anymore. All right, Target and other companies like Walmart, Amazon, McDonald's, they have rolled back or eliminated their programs. And so, this might be a little, people are calling for a boycott. I don't know how you feel. You can let me know how you feel about the elimination of DEI programs. I mean, we just had the Grammys, and someone, Alicia Keys said that DEI is a gift. And how do I feel about it? I feel it's disappointing to see that there have been a big effort about let's remove these programs, but Target and those places have made money highlighting those things. All right. Um, and I think that no matter what, we should make our own decisions on what we want to do, because we say, hey, we should boycott Target, right? We should boycott Walmart. We should boycott those things. And again, feel free to make your own decision. I think that ultimately, and it's unfortunate to say that we don't collectively create the power to do those things, and not with a long-standing result. We're not willing to do that. So feel free to, feel free to make your own decision about it, right? So there are Black businesses that are going to be affected, and again, it's going to be whether you're for or against. Um, I will say that going back to what I have initially said for years and years, we have to make our own systems for ourselves, right? Okay. So recently, all right, like Tabitha Brown has talked about it. And she's saying that, hey, if you do this, you're hurting the Black business, but you're only talking about you. There was another company, I think they sell dolls, and she says, hey, that they affect us. And I understand that. And I sympathize with them, because ultimately they want to get their brand out there. But you know what? And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that it can be done overnight, but we have to be able to use our powers to be able to fully support the whole, not just you. And I think that a lot of times that's what we see. There's been a couple things that have happened in Baltimore, where, like a crab spot, I'm not even going to put their name out there. They were out here and they said some wild stuff. And you know what? The next day, you still had people going in. I mean, you had people begging them, pleading with them, don't do it. And they just walking by like, gotta get these crabs. And it's just wow, man. And so I think that with DEI, I would like to see, okay, all right, you're not doing those programs, but how are you still supporting minorities, people of color, people that DEI was created for? And so let's see what happens. But I think collectively, if we're going to do something like that, then we need to be able to move together. And I think that that's just not what happens, unfortunately. I think that we move, we get selective amnesia. We are not going to pull forth the effort to do it. And unfortunately, people are going to think about themselves. So hopefully we start seeing those things. I would 100% say that if you are looking to boycott these companies, there are a million different minority-owned products that you can use. You can go straight to their websites. So just use them. So if you have some that's available, or resources, please put them in the comment section, so that way we all can take advantage. All right. But, it's unfortunate. I mean, I actually, when Trump rolled out like all these executive orders, I actually didn't have a problem with a lot of them. But when I saw that, when I was like, here we go, so you get what you get. All right. And this is what we get. So I would also say, take time that if you are a Black business owner or a minority business owner, that you create a system that that you don't have to use, or if there was something going on, that you don't have to use the big companies. Especially nowadays, you can have a warehouse, you can drop ship, look into those resources in addition to taking advantage. I'm not telling somebody like Tabitha Brown is going to make money from her spices and all the things that Target is going to sell. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it, because your response lets me know you're only focusing on you. I'm not going to buy anything like that. But I also am not going to fault somebody else who says, hey, Gary, I'm in a area where this is it. But I would just say be selective about what you can get, where we can get it. I think that we're not just a limited opportunities and resources. There are minority-owned products in pretty much all the categories. But are you willing to overcome, or are you willing to offer a little bit more effort to get it? Or are you just going to say, hey, you know what? My level of comfort, this is what I like. So I think that that's always been a plight. All right. So that's just it for DEI. All right. I know this might be a little bit more of a serious podcast, but it is. All right. So let's talk about, in local news. And again, this is getting stale. We're ready to rock and roll with this. So a female rapper, her name is Dank DeMoss. She filed a suit against Lyft after a driver said that she was too big. Prepare yourself for a 30-second review of that. She was. I'm 6'8", over 350 pounds. I'm getting Uber X's or Uber XLs. So, to try to not take accountability and say, you know what, I'm at a certain size, regardless of how she got to that size, and whether she ate or she has a medical condition, you have to make the appropriate accommodations. And I think that is wrong. If I was Lyft, if I was the driver who allegedly got fired, I would sue Lyft, because if that's the case, if a driver can refuse, let's say a driver went to a bad neighborhood, they can refuse it. So if they can refuse it based upon different environmental stuff, then why couldn't this driver refuse that? Now I think that maybe in the story he didn't refuse it, but he should refuse it. And we have to take a look. Maybe that's going to be another episode about body positivity. But I don't really want to have this conversation right now. But body positivity doesn't mean, hey, I'm just treating myself a certain way and that's it. It means that you care about yourself and you love yourself, that we will do the best for ourselves. But that's another conversation. That's another episode. And I'm going to bring on a guest for that one. Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up with our amazing entree. And so episode 145, anxiety. All right. So let's talk about how you can deal with anxiety, especially during these troubling times. And if you are dealing with a lot of anxiety, I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. And hopefully this, what we talk about will speak to you, so that way you can get the appropriate help. All right. Anxiety is real. Don't let somebody else tell you differently. And it's really about how we can manage it, identify it, manage it, and solve it if we can. All right. So let's just talk about what the hell is anxiety. Anxiety is an intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. All right. And so for me, I always tell people that anxiety is worrying about things that may or may not happen. Okay. And what are some of the symptoms that come from anxiety? Restlessness, fatigue, you're tense, you're sweating, a sense of nervousness, as well as a feeling of dread. Those are the common symptoms of anxiety. And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot more, but those are going to be the common ones that I like to highlight. Okay. So how can we deal with it? And I laid out a couple. I always like to make sure that I give you guys specifically, I do research and work to make sure I'm not just talking out of my behind. I want to make sure I have research. So you may see me looking down if you're watching me, because guess what? I want to make sure I have the right notes. So how can we deal with it? Number one, identify and learn to manage your triggers. What triggers your anxiety? If you say, hey, I don't know, what I'd like you to do is go back or think about the last couple of times where your anxiety was high. What happened? So looking at what happened, and then you can say, you know what? This might be a trigger. Identify and learn to manage your triggers. What are your triggers? Once you know what they are, you learn to manage them. All right. As a dad, anxiety is going to probably surround my kids, my lifestyle, my career. Things that affect me in my life can trigger my anxiety. Okay. So just learn, identify, and manage what your triggers are. Okay. Number two is going to be question your thought pattern. Anxiety allows you to start having a different thought pattern than you would normally have, because now you're at a heightened state. So now you're just thinking about all these different things. So question your thought pattern. Is this a legitimate threat? Is this something that I really should think about? Challenge the negative thoughts. Now, some things are real. Like if I was a federal employee, my anxiety would elevate, because if I have to go back to work, or what am I going to do about the kids, or this or that? When you get a chance, challenge your negative thoughts, tap into seeing if they're real or not, right? And challenge your thought patterns, because sometimes we default to a negative thought pattern where we should probably default to more of a problem solving thought pattern. Because to deal with anxiety, what I offer is that solution. Be action oriented. That to me deals with anxiety because anxiety just sits there. But if you say, okay, I got to do something about this, then anxiety sort of lessens. Okay. Limit information overload. Listen, social media is running wild every day with constant information overload. Shut it down. All right. Maybe only go to one source about the information. But outside of that, everyone's having think pieces and commenting. And most of the time, people don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Right. So limit your information overload. Don't let it overload your system. Even if you got to take it down, take a step back away from where you get your information. Look at other stuff. Listen to some other things. Listen to some soothing music. Or maybe, again, as you take a step back, you don't have to really get involved with it. All right. Limit that information that you're receiving day in and day out. We're receiving tons of information shooting at us, alerts, breaking news, all these different things. Turn those things off. Okay. Focus on what you can control. There are certain things that we're not in control of, and there are certain things that we are in control of. If most of you guys know, I do work a suicide hotline. And when the president got in office, there was an increase in people who called. You can't control the offer. You can't control who got in office. Well, we can, but if the person you didn't like didn't get in office, we can't control that. But what can you control? Can you control being vulnerable? And if you want to talk more about being vulnerable, go look at the last 2 episodes. All right. Focus on what you can control. And what you can do is take a piece of paper and say, even if you have an issue, write the issue up top and then just say, what am I in control of? And it's always going to be 3 major things: what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and what I'm doing. Develop a routine because there's going to be a lot of excess energy with anxiety. There's things that's going on. There's nervousness, all these things. Developing a routine allows you to sort of delegate that anxiety toward being constructive. What's your morning routine like? What's your afternoon? What's your evening? So as you're able to rely on your routines, then your anxiety lessens. Okay. You don't believe me if you have kids, if you have not developed a nighttime routine, they're all over the place. Develop a routine. Starting tonight, whenever you listen to this, what is your routine? All right. I currently work overnight. So what are the things that I'm going to do overnight versus when I get off? Then I get rest. What am I going to do when I get back up? These things, as I'm allowing this system to take place, again, pulls any anxiety I have and it places where it needs to go. All right. I can use that energy constructively. Use grounding techniques and coping skills. So there are so many different anxiety, stress relieving systems, strategies, like the grounding technique. All right, look around, and usually you might hear 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are 5 things you can see? 4 things you can hear. As they go down, using those strategies to assist you. So what I would say is, because there's so many, go look out there and figure out the ones that you can use when your anxiety is high. Anxiety is real. Okay. So we want to make sure we identify it and that we put together a plan to deal with it. Stay active, exercise, go skating, do yoga, Pilates, whatever it is to be active, because again, we have all this excess energy and we can convert it to something else productive. So stay active. And also when you work out, when you're doing those things, you get those feel good feelings in return. And again, that's going to combat with your anxiety. And the last thing I like to offer in reference to episode 145, anxiety, is just stop and breathe. You can feel like everything's overloading. Oh, Trump got in office. Oh, let me put out on the street. You know, those things can be legitimate thoughts. Oh, absolutely. But now just take a stop, take a moment, stop, close your eyes. take a breath, take 5, take 10, whatever it takes to be able to help you navigate toward what's going on. Anxiety is real because the reason why it's damaging and that it's real is because what it does is it attacks the things that you feel self-conscious about. So because it knows what you feel, what you're worried about, what it can do is it will 100% attack that. So just make sure that you are using those things, that you're using those strategies, that you are making sure that you are putting yourself in a position that I identify I have triggers, identify where my anxiety is coming from, and I'm going to put a plan to be able to deal with it. Also, if you don't know how you can deal with it, seek professional support. If you work, try to find a therapist. If you can't find a therapist, guess what? You can call 988 on your phone. They will have therapists that you won't even have to have insurance. Okay? Anxiety is real, and how you deal with it and manage it also should be real. Okay? That is the end of the show. Hopefully this episode speaks to you. And if you have a level of anxiety, you can always let me know. All right. Please make sure you get help with it. You can catch an episode each and every week, hot, fresh, ready to go. You can check out previous episodes on my website, as well as you can listen to or listen to any episode on any of the platforms and where you listen to music or podcasts. You can watch me on YouTube. All right. So until we see each other again, because we will see each other again. Until we talk again, because we'll talk. And until we share those special, special moments again. Always remember, guys, see what you want to do. Plan it out. And even before I even finish my saying, with anxiety, it tries to rob you of reality. Right now, you are 100-0 against any issue. If there's an issue you had in your life, think about your last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, all the issues you might have come across. And now look at you. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you overcame it. Anxiety tries to rob you of reality. Don't let it. So plan that thing out. And then above else, just simply do it. All right. Your life coach cares for you. Please stay encouraged. Please utilize resources. All right. So until next time, same life coaching time, same life coaching channel. See ya.